Are you interested in making over $40,000 a week? Well, we have the... What? Wrong video. Normal distributions? All right, mathletes, so let's jump into these applications regarding normal distributions. So let's take a look at this problem right here. So how much do you study? All right, especially if it's finals week. So a survey among freshmen at a certain university, they revealed that the number of hours spent studying the week before finals exams was normally distributed. So right away, the first thing I want you to do is draw that normal distribution. And look what they tell us. The mean, that number smack in the middle, is 25. Write that down, label it. The standard deviation is 4. So we're jumping up by 4, we're going down by 4, right? So I always want you to, first thing, when they tell you what type of distribution you have, right, draw it and label it with all the information that they give you. In this example, we're going to be using the TI-84 Plus, or the Wabbit app, not Rabbit, the Wabbit app, or your graphing calculator, depending on what apps you're using on your cell phone, if you're using a cell phone or tablet, right? And so let's look at these questions. Let's start with part A. So what proportion of students studied more than 35 hours? So first thing I do, right, everything's labeled. I got 35, I draw my line, and it said studied more than 35. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna shade everything just like I have, everything shaded to the right, okay? So we shade everything to the right. And what we could see there is, ignore this answer right now, this area is really small. So if we were to calculate everything and it gave us an area of 0.75, just by our drawing, we're gonna know we made a mistake. So our answers always have to make sense and have to correlate here with our drawing. They have to match up, right? And if something's not right, then you know you made a mistake somewhere. So again, our answers always have to make sense, right? And so the number of hours studied, the proportion of students that studied more than 35 hours, right? We don't expect that to be too high. We expect that to be pretty small. And it looks like that's what's gonna happen. All right, so because we're looking for this area, that's what's gonna tell you to use normal CDF. So your calculator has all these great programs for you to use, but they're worthless, right? They're garbage if you don't know what those programs do for us. If you don't know when to use them and what to throw into those programs, they're worthless. So you always need to make sure you draw your distribution and actually understand what is it that you're looking for, right? Are you looking for love? What is it that you're looking for? So again, make sure you have that information. So in this case, because I'm looking for a proportion, I'm looking for this area under the curve, I'm gonna use normal CDF because that's what normal CDF does for us. Well, what do you need for normal CDF? Well, I'm gonna need a lower bound, I'm gonna need an upper bound. Based on what calculator you're using, some of your calculators are gonna ask you for a lower and upper. Some of them just want you to enter it in manually, right? So in this case, our lower, that first number you're gonna enter is gonna be that 35. That's where we start. And notice we shaded everything above 35. So in our calculator, what we do is we play it safe and we put a huge number for the upper. So we do that by putting 1E99. So that would be the second number that you would enter. Comma, you would put it in your mean, which they told us is 25. And then we would put in our standard deviation, which is 4. All right, so once you go ahead and plug that into normal CDF, go ahead and do that with me, and I'll show that on the screen there. And we will be getting our area of 0.0062. So that's the proportion of students, right, that studied more than 35 hours. All right, so if you haven't done so already, I don't know what you're waiting for. Smash that like button, subscribe, right? Tell a friend or 10,000 and follow me to part B. All right, so for part B, look at what we're looking for. What is the probability that a randomly selected student spent between 12 and 37 hours? So let's draw that. 12 hours, that's about right here. And 37 hours, we have that over here. So everything in between. So I'm just shading everything between 12 hours and 37. And so we got that area, everything in between there. So right away when you shade that, man, that looks pretty much like everybody, right? So that proportion should be pretty close to 1. So let's do the math, and so that we could see, exactly what that proportion is. All right, so let's jump in here. We know we're gonna do normal CDF, that program again, because we want the area. We want that probability, all right? And so let's do that. We're gonna go to normal, second bars. So you hit second bars, number 2, which is normal CDF, and our lower this time, our lower we said is 12. Our upper in this case is 37. And then of course our mean is 25 and our standard deviation is 4. So go ahead and enter this in with me, right? You gotta get that practice in. Don't just watch me. I know I'm nice to look at, but don't just watch me, do the math. So 12, 37, 25, standard deviation of 4, and we get 0.9981 once we round it. So this area is 0.9981, and it's pretty darn close to 1, and that's exactly what we expect, right? Because look at everything that we shaded. So hopefully this is making sense. Any questions yet? No? Good. Follow me. All right, part C here. Now they want us to look at the proportion of students that studied less than 37 hours. So there's 37, and I'm shading everything to the left, to the left, to the left, right? So this looks like it's gonna be pretty massive as well, right? So let's dive in here and let's see. And by the looks of the graph, it seems pretty much just like part B, but let's get in here and let's verify. All right, so we're looking for that proportion. So we know we're going to use normal CDF, right? Because we got normal distribution. In this case, look, everything's shaded to the left. So because everything's shaded to the left, our lower here, what we're going to do is we're going to put -1E99. And just a pro tip, if you're using the TI-84 calculator, use the negative sign directly underneath the 3. Or else you will get an error. A lot of people always asking us at Dr. Math Studios about that. All right, so maybe one day they'll fix that, but right now, make sure don't use the minus button, use the negative sign under the 3. All right, we get that all the time. Our mean here is 25 and our standard deviation is 4. All right, so let's plug everything in and let's see what we get. So we're gonna, again, second vars, go to normal CDF. Our lower is -1. To get the E, the EE, the easy E, you hit second and then comma. That's how you activate that E button. 99, right? I know somebody out there is asking. Upper is 37, all right? The mean is 25, standard deviation is 4. Press paste and smash that like button. And your answer is 0.9987. So 0.9987, which is pretty darn close to part B, and that's exactly what we expected. So hopefully this is helpful, and this is how you set up the scene here. So again, when you're doing this, make sure that you draw your distributions, because when you draw those distributions, that's going to help you, number one, telling you what program to use, and it's going to make sure that your answers actually make sense. So let's change the scene a little, right? Let me change the questions, and they're going to be, the process is going to be similar, but the question's going to look a little different. So if you're interested, come with me. All right, so we have a great question for you here. So how much do you study? Same idea, but this time they're giving us different numbers. So let's draw this. So first things first, I'm looking at that mean. They tell us it's normally distributed. They tell us what the standard deviation is. So let's just draw a little Etch-a-Sketch drawing here. So 28, and I'm going up by 6 and going down by 6. In this case, I'm just gonna go up by 6, 34, 40, 46. And the reason I'm going up by 6 is because I'm focusing right now on question A. And it says, find the 91st percentile underline percentile, go back in your notes, make sure you understand what that means. And when they talk about the percentile, what they're looking at is they're looking at that top, so all this area, your score, or in this case, not your score, the number of hours that this person studied is the 91st percentile. That means this person studied more than 91%, right, of all the students. So the bottom half is 91%. The top half is only 9% of students studied more than this person right here, whoever it is we're examining. So what we're interested in is finding that cutoff score. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to find how many hours would represent the top, that 91st percentile, right? So when I'm shading, let me shade in yellow because I might have to change this, and I want to walk you through this process. Is when I'm shading, right, 91%, that's the vast majority of everything. So some people are like, how do I know when to stop? Well, right now, I'll just say, do a little Etch-a-Sketch, do a drawing, and once we know what we're after, right, this is really gonna help us kind of connect the dots. And when we get our answer, we could see if our answer is gonna make sense. So right away, the first thing I'm gonna tell you is, well, you know your answer is gonna be more than 28, right? Because this is our 50% mark, right? That's our halfway mark. So we know the number of hours that we studied is more than 28. What number exactly is it? That's what we're interested in. And because we're trying to find this exact value, that's what's gonna be your red flag or your green light, and that's gonna tell you to use the program inverse norm. InvNorm, that's the program you're looking at, all right? So let's go in here, let's go in our calculator, and let's use InvNorm because we're interested in this X value. We're interested in finding the number of hours that corresponds to the 91st percentile. All right, so let's dive in here. So second bars, we're gonna go to choice number 3, which is InvNorm, all right? And on my calculator, it's nice because let me write down what mine says. Yours might be a little different, and that's okay. Mine's gonna ask for the area. Mine's gonna ask for the mean. Mine's gonna ask for the standard deviation. I'll just put the dots instead, it doesn't matter. And then mine also asks for the area, for the tail. And this tail corresponds to the area that's shaded. So see how I'm shading everything to the left? So for the tail, that's how I know I'm gonna choose the left tail. If your program doesn't ask you for any of this, then what your program is telling you that it needs the left area. So if you go and watch my video, I'll also link that one down below in how to use inverse norm, all right? If you're not comfortable with that. So in this case, our area that we're shading in, that we've tried to shade in there, is 91%, right? So that's the percentile. So the area is the percentile. Write that down, that's big. Our mean here is 28. Our standard deviation is 6. And again, we shaded that left area. What if they said the top 8% or the top 9%? So in that case, what we would do is we would shade the top 9%, and then you would change the tail to the right, right? So again, make sure you understand what this program is asking you for, because if you don't understand these functions, right, you're gonna have a really hard time in this section. So let's go ahead and enter all this in. So my area is 0.91. The mean is 28. The standard deviation is 6. People are asking, hey, Dr. Math, did you take a pre-workout? No, I'm wearing my favorite sweater. Eat, Sleep, Math Club. Are you in the Dr. Math Club? If not, comment down below. We'll get you in. Hey, do we have a Dr. Math Club? So let's go ahead and enter everything in. The tail is to the left. Paste, hit enter, and we're getting the number of hours. So this is giving us the number of hours, and the number of hours is 36. And notice, 36 is about right here. So my initial shading, that's why I did it nice and light in yellow, should be about right here. This is the cutoff score, 36.04. We'll do 0.04 because it says 2 decimal places. So we'll say that's right there. So this is the number that I'm looking at right there. So notice that initial shading that I did, that just gave me a rough estimate of where I thought this might be. The only thing I really knew is that it was going to be greater than 28 hours. So these are the number of hours that would represent that percentile right there. All right, so your homework, mathletes, and what you're gonna do is comment down below is, what do you think you would get for questions B and C? All right, so based on what we just did for this one, we need your help, and we want you to solve B and C, and comment down below, and let's see what you guys are doing. On top of that, tell us what you're entering into your calculator, right? So we want you to interact and be part of our Dr. Math community here, and we want to know what you're getting for parts B and C, and then we'll go in and we'll see how everyone's doing. And again, keep the comments nice. We're trying to help each other out, build a solid family here, and we'll see you mathletes in our next video. Peace.